As Arsenal signed Jesus last year and City signed Haaland, the onus was on Chelsea and United to revamp their strike departments. And while some expected them to go big on Osimhen and Kane, they have both signed young exciting talents in the form of Nicolas and Rasmus Hojlund. But the question is, who got the better deal, and which club will be happier at the end of the season with their new talisman in attack? Let's compare the two as we delve deep into the stories of two exciting young centre-forwards ready to take on the league by storm. Let's first look at Nicolas signed by Chelsea, but before we do, let's take a look at his stat. From April of 2023, Nicolas managed to find the net more than Chelsea FC as a whole. The 10 goals that he managed were more than what Chelsea scored in the Premier League as a team in the same 11 games. But the path for success for Nicolas was never that smooth. Joining Villarreal as a young 18-year-old was a big step for him in the first place, but a failed loan at the second-tier club Mirandes, where he only scored once in the whole season, would prove to be truly challenging. With time, however, he got to know his game better, and a career that started on the wing transitioned into becoming a striker. Villarreal coach Miguel Alvarez remembers his growth and transition to becoming a striker very well. I remember perfectly the first time I saw him with the juvenile. You could immediately see that he was a level above, like a man playing against boys. He did say that playing on the wing used his impressive work rate to good effect, but did mean that he was away from the meaningful penalty box when he needed to be. A spell playing centrally for the youth side saw him come into his own, and Unai Emery started him as a central striker for the senior side in 2022-23. But a tough period before the World Cup meant that playing on an isolated role up front was not easy to adapt to. Being isolated up front for someone who loved to link up was tough. That being said, he still managed 4 goals and 4 assists before the World Cup. Relegation-threatened Bournemouth soon came calling with a £22.5 million offer for Jackson. But as destiny would have it, he failed his medical with a hamstring injury that would keep him out for several weeks. And while some may have sulked after a failed transfer in a tough season with a long-term injury to deal with as well, Nicolas excelled. Emery had been replaced by Setien, and he backed the Senegalese forward to the max. At 21, time was on his side, and it proved to be the wake-up call that pushed his form to new heights. A fully fit Jackson went on to have the most exceptional 2 months from April to May. Over the last month or so, every chance he got went in, remarked Setien. Across that period, he scored with an incredible 40% of his shots, averaging a goal every 80 minutes. It's clear to see that Jackson is an imposing young forward who loves to run at players and has some exceptional link-up play due to his time as a winger in his early career. He played his best football with 2 wingers in Chukwueze and Pino around him, as he would drop deep and allow them to run into spaces he would vacate. He might get similar pleasures from the likes of Mudryk and Sterling. His other strength is his pace on the counter-attack. Some of his best Villarreal games come from devastating counter-attacks. When you talk about areas to improve, his aerial duel numbers have to improve for a player of his height. And like any other young player, he might drift in and out of games, which might also be explained by the fact that Villarreal did not always dominate the ball. Nicolas has looked mightily impressive in preseason, scoring 2 goals in 2 games, but Chelsea fans should remain mindful that even though Jackson has got off to a flyer in preseason and was in the form of his life late last season, he is still young and raw and might need a season or 2 to truly refine his game. Add to that the looming threat of Vlahovic's signing for the Blues, and Jackson might not have a clear route to the first team upon joining. Let's get one thing clear off the bat. To only be compared to Erling Haaland, you need to be special. And Rasmus Hojlund is truly a special talent. The similarities with Haaland are obvious. A tall, blonde Scandinavian striker that has a wand of a left foot and an uncanny likening for goal scoring. After starting out in his native Denmark with Copenhagen, he was quickly bought by Austrian side Sturm Graz, where he played for just 1 season. The Norwegian side finished second, and Hojlund managed a respectable tally of 9 goals for them. Soon enough, Atalanta came calling with a €17 million fee, and in came Gianpiero Gasperini in the life of Hojlund. At Atalanta, there isn't a bigger hero in recent times than Gasperini. A 7-year spell in charge of the side has seen Gasperini transform them into an attacking powerhouse, and Hojlund seemed to perfectly fit the plans of Gasperini after a few months of adapting to a new country. Atalanta are known to play with two centre forwards, and in Lookman and Hojlund, they had found a pair of youngsters deputizing for the experienced pair of Muriel and Zapata. And soon enough, Hojlund would displace Zapata from the lineup after a poor run of form. Add to this his exceptional return for his national side, already managing 6 goals in 6 appearances, becoming the top scorer in the Euro qualification stage, and he is a talent in red-hot form. While United are always questioned for overpaying in the market, £65 million for Hojlund could end up being vindicated if he continues on his upward trajectory. Hojlund, much like Erling Haaland, is tall yet deceptively quick. While Haaland is a volume monster, regularly managing around 4 shots a game, the volume of shots managed by Hojlund is markedly less. He is able to run with the ball like Haaland, but always likes to find his wingers to influence the game as close to the goal as possible. With his impressive height, his heading numbers are also good, which may be tapped into a lot by Erik ten Hag and his side. While he has previously played in a front 2 and may take time adapting to being a lone striker, once he does so, he has the skill set to shine in this role. Gianpiero Gasperini admired Hojlund's pace in an interview. He is so quick, he's under 11 seconds over 100 meters, and that's not even trying very hard. Gasperini further added, considering his height, he has a low center of gravity and he can move his legs very fast. I'm convinced that he'll have a great career, he just gets stronger every day. In terms of areas to improve, many point at his link-up play and his single-figure stats that definitely need improvement. But with most things in his game, the next 2 to 3 years could see huge growth. While both Hojlund and Jackson are top-class talents, it's tough to look past Hojlund at the moment. Firstly, he joins a much more settled side that finished 3rd in a truly impressive campaign last season. And with Onana and Mount also joining, they look even better than last year and should prove to be the perfect platform for the Danish forward. Players like Bruno Fernandes and Antony would prove to be ideal in setting up Hojlund to succeed, with Rashford ensuring that Hojlund alone does not have to bear the burden of goal scoring. Also, it has to be said that with Vlahovic potentially joining Chelsea, the first-team role of Jackson may be limited. On the other hand, the first-team path of Hojlund seems much more clear, with the only first-team competition being Martial, as Rashford is used on the left. So while Hojlund cost United more than twice that Jackson did Chelsea, he has scary potential and could end up being worth more than what United ended up paying for him. Do you agree with our opinion? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll be seeing you next time.